G'day guys, Mackie with the Outer Circle, and today we're looking at my Thousand Suns army that I'm thinking of taking to the Anzac Cup. Now, this is a kind of piss poor army. Not that it's badly modelled, badly painted, any of that kind of thing. It's actually quite nicely modelled, quite nicely painted, in my own opinion. Of course I'm going to say it about my own shit. But it has problems. This is a 2,500 point army. Think about that, 2,500 points in that. That's what, 30 line infantry, 40 if you include characters, terminators, that kind of thing. A couple of monstrous creatures and some dreadnoughts at the back. That's not much to work with, is it? So let's go through the list, talk about the good and the bad in it, and maybe people will get a bit of an understanding about both Thousand Suns and list building in general. So first unit up is the Legion Praetor. So this is the boss boy of the force, and he's armed as you see. Mastery level 3 Psyker, Asphyx shells, which are basically bolt gun shells but with shred, which, hey, it's a handy upgrade. Makes it easier to hit, easier to wound. For other characters, I have a freshly painted, about a couple of hours ago, Praevian Consul. So that's this chap right here. And his job is to run his Castellax. He's a Psyker as well. All characters are Psykers in Thousand Suns if you're playing them right. On this side we have the Master of the Forge. Now this is a guy I built the other day. Did all these hieroglyphics on the shoulders, and he's got the conversion beamer. And his job is to run with these servitors. They're actually servo automata from the Mechanicum range. But I'm running them as servitors because, hey, they're the right size and they look like they belong, as opposed to sort of, at best, 4th edition sculpts of servitors, which are very static, very bizarrely proportioned, and I'm not a big fan in general of all the flesh. For the Praetor himself, he has a nice little bodyguard unit, and that's a Sekhmet Terminator squad. These Sekhmet, you may notice, Cataphracti armor? No, not at all. These boys are in Tartarus armor. I use the 40k Sekhmet Terminators and use 30k weapons and hands on them, that kind of thing. So they weren't too zenchy. I did keep the 40k Khopesh Blades. They're not very good looking, in my opinion, especially not when you compare them to the Khopesh Blade on the character, or when you compare it to the Hennetai Blade Occult's Khopesh Blades, which I've used on a lot of my other characters, which are just, they're so much better proportioned. Troops wise, Tactical Squad, both have a Power Fist on the Sergeant, and a Breacher Squad in the middle, with a Power Fist and Artificer Armor on the Sergeant, because of course I do. The Castellax, we have Cores and multi-melters with flamers in the wrists. The cores are pretty handy because they are rending and you get the extra attack for the match weapons, so bonus. In heavy support, Castellax Achaea, again painted these this morning, so busy little morning for me painting this stuff. I probably need to do some work on the cables though. May paint them up in colours, so keep that in mind. Not quite perfect, not quite finished. There's 2 of those with Asphyx bolters in their wrists, and I have in elites 2 Mortis Dreadnoughts with twin-linked missile launchers and hunter-killer missiles, because of course I do. So that's the list. Let's talk about the good and the bad. So, good. We have quite a bit of scoring. Most of the units in the army are scoring. Both tactical squads, the breaches, the Sekhmet, all scoring units. However, Sekhmet's only 5 models. Granted, 2 wounds, 2 plus armor saves, 5 plus invulnerables, pretty solid. And the Sekhmet are going to get into a lot of combats. They're going to die most games. It's just the way it is. Strength 8's going to kill them, such as Power Fist, that kind of thing. Yeah, they're cannon fodder. The basic line infantry, same deal. For the HQs, they're my psychers. They're my main psychers, and Brotherhood, of course, level 2 on the Sekhmet. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 psychic levels to play with. Quite a few power dice. My aim generally is to roll as low as possible when I roll my power dice or warp charge each turn, because that means the other guy gets way less dispel dice. I haven't overloaded the army with wizards. I could have gone like Pride of the Legion, used Sekhmet, 2 squads of Sekhmet as troops or something, and veteran squads, and made them all psychers, and yeah, could have loaded right up. Could have taken librarians instead of like the Praevian or the Tech Marine, the Forge Lord, and had 2 mastery levels on each of those consoles. So it could get pretty crazy, pretty out of control. However, that's not the theme. The theme of this army is, in the Thousand Suns arcologies, on their world during their siege, the Siege of Prospero, obviously there's a Mechanicum contingent, quite a sizable one. And I wanted to say, what if the Thousand Suns and their Mechanicum forces were attacking together? This could be an expedition fleet out there. It doesn't have to be on Prospero at the time, but you know, they had their own very, very closely allied Forge World, and you know, they are allies of the Mechanicum in the Allies Matrix. However, rules as written for Thousand Suns, the army's warlord must be a psyker. Well, if you're allied to another army, such as Mechanicum, even though you can ally to them on the Matrix, they don't have any psychic units. So I physically cannot ally to them because their warlord cannot be a psyker physically. It is bad rules writing. Why? Because it contradicts itself. It says you can be, you know, sworn allies or whatever it is, sworn brothers with Mechanicum, but then all of a sudden you go to run them with Mechanicum and you can't. Just bad rules writing, book 7. Some idiot tried to argue the point with me. Oh no, that's rules as intended. It's not rules intended. Why would the Allies Matrix exist to have Thousand Suns ally with Mechanicum if they can't do it? It's just another book 7 oversight. Someone should have written down their compulsory HQs must be a psyker, not their warlord must be a psyker. Because this means that, obviously, whoever the warlord is, well, you're screwed. Anyway, point sinks. Oh boy, lots of points there, and lots of points in the Dreadnoughts. There's a fair few points expended on those breaches. That's just the nature of breaches, I'm afraid. Anyone want to know some specific points? I actually have my army list right here. Those breaches with Cult Arcana, which is free, Melter Bombs, and the upgraded Breacher Sergeant with Power Fist and Artificer Armor, 275 points for a 10-man Power Armor squad. 275 points. So overcosted. Yes, they are stronger in a Thousand Suns list than, say, another force like, I don't know, Dark Angels, but realistically that unit is 60-70 points easily overcosted. It needs to be brought down, because you got to remember the base unit cost does not take into account Legion special traits. The 2 tactical squads are only 140 points each. That's cheap. That's pretty much the same cost in points, 280 points there as that. So that's 5 points less expensive than those 2 squads combined. And the sergeants are kitted out identically. So you're basically paying a whole tactical squad's worth of points just for the shields, which aren't even that good. 6 plus invulnerable save, out of close combat, 5 plus invulnerable in. It's shit. So not happy about that, but it's the theme. I think that breaches as like a shield wall kind of thing works well with the Mechanicum, but I could be wrong. For the for the segment, I've gone for mostly force weapons. 3 force weapons, 2 power fists. Probably would have gone chain fists, but I've actually modelled them onto the models that have plasma blast guns, because normally I run them as just regular Legion Terminators. Thing is, Sekhmet are so much better than Legion Terminators. I want to get the most money from my most value for my points, basically. If I'm going to have a small army, I'd rather a small army with 2 wound models than paying almost identical points for models that have 1 wound each. Now, the Praevian and his unit, 375 points for the Castellax, and 155 for the Praevian himself. Is it worth it? Debatable. I do have it written as armed with a boarding shield. I was thinking more of like a psychic force field, but I may modify the list. I do have a model that I can use with the boarding shield for the squad, but again, haven't decided on it yet. Pretty cool concept though. Defensive grenades for the unit, so if you get charged, it kind of messes with the other guy. That's pretty handy, but otherwise, yeah. 375 points for the Castellax. Yeah. Expensive, but fair. They're quite a strong unit, toughness 7, 3+ armor saves, 6+, 5+ invulnerables thanks to adamantic reactors. They've got multi-melters, they're relentless, they have 2 flamers each, they've got rage, they have rending power core attacks. They're like 5 attacks each on the charge or something because of the power cores giving the +1 bonus for a match pair. Yeah, pretty nasty unit. Fairly pointed. The Castellax Achaea, on the other hand, on the other side, they're another interesting one. That's 300 points right there. Yes, you heard that right, 300 points. What do you get? Well, you get a similar sort of thing. In fact, pretty much identical stat line to regular Castellax, but the difference is that you don't need the Cortex controller for these guys, they just need to be near a Psyker. So, 24-inch range from any one of these 4 units. More handy than the Cortex controller, which is within, I think, 12 inches of this guy or that guy, because they've both got Cortex controllers. So, more versatile. They are armed with an interesting option here, the Ether Flame Cannon. It's basically a plasma cannon with Soul Blaze. One of those things you pay extra points for, because Soul Blaze is one of those things Forge World thinks, oh, it's really worth it, you know. It's good value for money, good points. It's not. It's really not. Yeah, it's like Fear. What they think it's worth and what it's really worth are 2 completely different figures. And you do pay for it. Overall, though, quite a strong unit, the Castellax Achaea. Interesting thing is, you can use them as the point of origin for certain powers and abilities if they're within so many inches of a Psyker that could be running spells from usually Pyromancy. Pyromancy is pretty much the only one that has shooting type powers. That said, 9 times out of 10 nobody uses Pyromancy because it's the worst psychic discipline. All the others are better. Biomancy, Divination, Telekinesis, all way better. Telepathy, definitely better. So, nobody takes Pyromancy, it's shit. Too hard to get off the powers, too many counters to the powers. So, I don't know why I'm paying points for it, but yeah, that's those guys. So, only 75 points less for those 2 than for that whole unit. Work that out. Now, the Mortis Dreadnoughts. Overpriced, yes. Good? Yeah, solid. These ones I converted with, I magnetised them. So, these are the missile launchers of the Derideo Dreadnought. So I've built them, put on these nice hieroglyphics on them, that kind of thing. So obviously, WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. They've even got a Thousand Suns crested helmet in the middle, on the head. So, you know, pretty authentic, cool markings. Converted in Cyclone missile launchers for its nipple guns. The Contempt of Mortis is a better unit. The regular sort of Castiferum, which is this square box dreads, are overpriced by 50 points. 50 points, I'm just going to say it right now, in this configuration. If they... Because the thing is, you're pretty much coming up on Contemptor points. Contempt is only like 10, 15 points more than this. For that 10, 15 points, you get an invulnerable save, you get fleet, you get additional point of armor. Who the fuck priced these things for points? An idiot. Some people go, oh, Macca, that's really harsh. No, it's simple math. If you've got two units and one is functionally better than the other in every way, there should be a vast points gap or some sort of points gap that demonstrates this. And in this instance, there is just not. So I find it very disappointing. That said, good anti-air capability, 2 twin-linked ballistic skill 5 missile launchers on each one, plus the 2 hunter killers, so if someone brings on that flyer, it's interception time. Let's fuck that flyer up. We're gonna kill that thing with missiles. Some flyers might be running chafe, yeah, that's gonna fuck with my shit. Nothing I can do about that. Again, this is not a power gaming list, I'm just telling you what each unit does and what's right and wrong with it. Well, I'll finish off the HQs before I go on to the segment and that kind of thing. So, with the Praetor, this guy here, it's hard. Every army has like the option of a Paragon Blade. So you're talking an AP2 at initiative weapon that on a 6 to wound, instant death, and it's +1 strength. That's a really, really good weapon, and everyone takes it. I don't like to just do what everyone else does, so instead I'm running mine as a force weapon, force axe, which you can do as Thousand Suns on Praetor. Now, where this becomes a problem is I'm going to be striking last in close combat against things like Power Fists, Thunder Hammers, Automata, Dreadnoughts, things that will just instant kill this guy. That's problematic. It's a shame Thousand Suns, like these Khopesh Blade, these curved swords we have, no special rules. Other legions like the White Scars, their glaives, they get special rules. Ultramarines get special axes. There's Tyrannic Greatswords, the Blade of Salty Tears, all these different legion special weapons. I guess the Thousand Suns, you have these actual special unique weapons. Yeah, nothing. It's such a frustrating list at times. Because I'd rather they tone down the cheese in some areas and built up stuff like that. Now, the Forge Lord. Let's talk the Forge Lord. This one is a unit that's more to buff his own little squad. So this squad here, I've got 4 rad missile launchers. They will kill power armor so quickly, it's not funny. You're talking 4 small blasts, AP3, wounds on 2s, very nasty weapon. And the Forge Lord himself has a conversion beamer. So, pretty solid, pretty brutal unit. He can also pack a force weapon, which I've got more than enough points left over to do, which, yeah, I probably will do that. He also has rad grenades, which is the reason why you get the missiles. So what happens is you buy a console, HQ chart. You get your console, you pay the points, upgrade into a Forge Lord. It's like 25 points or something. Now he's got Artificer Armor, he's got his Servo Arm, and I go, I'll give him the Conversion Beamer, and I'll give him a Cortex Controller and Augury Scanner. So, gets a bit of interception against some units. I then buy the Servitors. I then give the Servitors missile launchers, heavy bolters, plasma cannons, whatever takes my fancy. In this case, I pick missile launchers. Because I gave him rad grenades, I can upgrade them to rad missiles. Bit of a pain in the ass, you got to pay the rad grenade tax, but hey, rad grenades are really good, so yeah, worth it. The only downside is if you move him away from the unit has to take a pinning test every single turn if he's more than 6 inches away. The problem with that is their leadership's 6, so they're pretty much destined to fail said pinning test. Bit of a bummer. Last but not least, the segment themselves. 2 Wound Terminators. You've got a choice of Pyromancy or Telekinesis on them. Pyromancy is definitely the anti-cheese option compared to Telekinesis, because Telekinesis for Cult will give you +1 invulnerable save for your Cult Arcana. But, Pyromancy shit. So do you piss away your points to try and say to the other guy, hey, I'm not trying to be cheesy, or do you just do what you know is right, which is, yeah, I'm going to go telekinesis because it's a good set of psychic powers and it buffs my Terminators? Do you want to deliberately shoot yourself in the foot is the problem with these guys. So yeah, that's that. Now, when it comes to how this will actually perform in the field, well, let's look at this. Psychic-wise, I've pretty much got anyone bar Word Bearers and other Thousand Suns beat. If I come up against Sisters of Silence, yeah, I'm in a little bit of trouble. I don't really have to confront them in close combat with maybe those two might have to, but this guy definitely won't. If I do have to fight them, I'll just send in these guys. They pretty much can't hurt them. The rad missiles, they'll clean up Sisters of Silence so fast, it's not funny. 2,500 point games, people are bringing super heavies. Something like a Typhon costs the same, well, a little bit less points than this unit here. So those three Castellax, not even including the Praevian Consul. A Typhon has a blast template about this big, well, do it so it actually fits on camera. 10-inch blast template, strength 10, AP2, ignores cover. The fuck am I going to do against that? If that shot hits my army, you know, if my army was set out like this for whatever reason, that could pretty much just chunk out 2/3 of my whole army in one shell. It's ridiculous. So that's no good for me. I can't combat a super heavy. I need some sort of anti-tank with range, some sort of flyers. Frankly, the strongest anti-tank I've got at range is a conversion beamer, and 18 inches on multi-melters. The plasma cannons aren't going to do shit against any sort of like Spartan level armor. If I come up against armies like the Solar Auxilia, who will have just sheer numbers, they will whittle down my units so fast it's not funny. Dark Angels jet bikes, never going to catch them, never going to hurt them. On top of that, the jet bikes are going to be mostly running acid heavy bolters, which will hit on 3s, wound on 2s, and you will only get an invulnerable save on the automata. So they're kind of screwed as well. This army, it's a theme. The theme is Thousand Suns and Mechanicum forces working together. Is it good? No. It's it's a good theme, but as an actual fighting force, it is terrible. If you were to spend another 1,000 points on this to take it up to 3,500, and then in that 3,500, put in some laser destroyer vindicators, add a whole bunch more infantry for more scoring, bulk out the Terminator squad, then you'd be talking a fighting force. Maybe put the infantry in vehicles. I do have the points to do it, so I may consider it, but because I haven't quite filled out my points yet, and I've still got some tweaking to do. But this is the thing that's really going to affect you as a Thousand Suns player, and playing tournaments in general. Gotta remember, people are going to have those super heavies. You need counters, you need range, you need anti-tank, you know, you need to take all these different things into account, and it can be hard, it can be really hard. So I just thought I'd just take the time today, since I've actually got a day to myself off work, and talk it through, talk what's actually good about this army and what's bad, and sadly it's mostly bad. For those who are wondering now, I'm going to talk a little bit of fluff. Castellax Achaea, the sort of infantry, and the automata. The automata scheme straight away sticks out, the same on the servitors. Why have I got this horrible bronze scheme with these green stripes, with like hieroglyphs and glyphs all through the green stripes, and this battle damage, and well, believe it or not, it's one of the colour schemes for Zauakard, the Thousand Suns Forge World. Since I got book 7 right next to me, I'll show you. That is the Thousand Suns Forge World colour scheme. That is a Thousand Suns Castellax colour scheme. It is terrible. It's like a dark metallic silver with bright red shoulders. I don't like it at all. I think it's worse than the green. Than the green and bronze. So I sort of made the decision. I went, alright, I'll run my automata as Sour Card automata, then I can run them in my Canicum army. I'm not running a whole bunch of stuff that's painted up as Thousand Suns stuff for my Mechanicum. I can run it separately and it'll look great. So that's how I ended up where I am with the Force. For the Thousand Suns half, actually I should show off. There's actually some other nice pictures in here. Like this is a Macra Carad that's painted up in that red and black scheme, and it does look kind of nice, but this is the Thousand Suns' own homeworld defending colour scheme. I want this to be independent. I can use them as Sour Cut Forge World itself. For the infantry themselves, you'll see that I've pretty much gone with the straight out the book style. Right down to the same helmets. The only thing is, no loincloth, no like random mummification going on with the arms. This is a Force of Love. I've been playing Thousand Suns or Zench Marines since 2nd edition. It was a little bit different back then, but you know, times change. This is the army I've always wanted to collect. I've got like 8,500, 9,000 points now, especially once I add these new things in, which have been built in the last day and painted. Yeah. It's frustrating at times because I painted this army up and like compare the very first models painted for this army, the quality on this miniature, to like miniatures I painted 2/3 of the way through painting the Force, and how much better and more crisp they look. And yeah, it's no contest at all. Just you get better at painting something as you go, then you get frustrated with what you painted before. I now got like these different depths and tones to the candy. I don't just have the flat red, I have, like you see, it's darker towards the back of the Dreadnought and darker towards the lower half of the Dreadnought and brighter up top. Some painters prefer the reverse. They try and tell me, oh, it's more realistic when something is brighter down low and darker up top, and it is a great looking effect, don't get me wrong, it looks fantastic. A lot of pro painters do that, but that's not how fucking light works. So there is no like source lighting coming up from the ground hitting things. That's no, go look at any building or car outside, what's shiniest, the top or the bottom? Exactly. So I don't get why they do that. That's not how light works. The Praevian, he's another cool one. This is the second Praevian I built for this army. The first one I painted 3 years ago. This one I've gone for like these deep dark bronzes and real dark metallics, because I think there's something sinister about the Praevian, about a guy who chooses to associate with machinery, not people. And with like my veterans and the Forge Lord, I've gone for like these corroded bronzes for their weapons. So rather than having like these pristine bolters, it's almost like these are archaeological remnants or artifacts of some kind that the forces have dug out. And I've gone for the black colour scheme because these are agents of death. So you'll see I have like white shoulders, green cloaks, light colours used on certain miniatures in the Force. And then I've got like a real dark miniatures with blacks and things like that. And the whole idea is like a dimorphic thing where I want to have the guys who are like the force for good within the Legion in one colour, the guys who are more evil in another, or more sinister in another. And that's where I'm at. With the Castellax Achaia I did this morning, they've got like the white domes and there's something pure about them. But like this cool blue eye, whether I'm suggesting something sinister deep down and with their chakra crystals, and yeah, I know, cool unit, bloody cool unit. Need to do more work on it, need to paint the cabling, but that's a 2,500 point army I want to take away. Part of why it's so small is also because it's really easy to transport, so it's on my list. And the box dreads, again, the missile launchers off the Derrideo Dreadnought, Aeoli missile launchers, it's set up on its back, or what I used for the arms on these guys, and they're magnetic, so I can give them power fist, las cannons, whatever floats my boat. The Castaferum box dread Too many points, way too many points. I think I said like 50 point drop earlier. Probably 30 is more reasonable because, again, compare it to a Contemptor, extra point of armor. You get the higher everything, like more attacks, higher weapon skill, higher ballistic skill in general, fleet, adamantic shielding. This is so much better and better weapon options, except for the twin-linked missiles. And also, the one thing the box dreads can take that they can't is the Strength 6 AP3 Flamer, which can come in handy in a drop pod, but you pay so many points for it. Is it worth it? Probably not. Anyway, make it the outer circle. Thanks for watching my little chat about 2500 point force for Anzac Cup, and I'll see you all next time.